Hey guys, welcome back. So today I want to talk about a firearm that I saw at the NRA convention down in Indianapolis this past year. And it's a gun that really piqued my interest. There wasn't a whole lot of stuff there that really got my attention, but this one did. And it's probably because I'm a huge Star Wars fan. The gun I want to show you guys today is the Solo Blaster from Battle Arms. And it's an AR-15 pistol that's chambered in .22 long rifle, but it looks very much like the iconic handgun used by Han Solo in the Star Wars movies. So we're going to take a close look at this gun, talk about what it is, how they've built it, what it costs, and have some fun with it, because that's what these types of firearms are for. I've said many, many times on the channel, you're allowed to own guns that are simply fun to shoot. Not everything has to serve a tactical or practical application. And this falls into the fun shoot category. And I think you're going to agree with me that this is a pretty darn neat little toy if you're into the Star Wars stuff like me. So with that being said, let's get started with today's video. But first, let's pop off a few rounds out of the pistol. I don't see any blaster bolts going down range, but still quite satisfying even shooting .22 long rifle. If you're like me and carry a firearm every day for self-defense, it's a good idea to have an insurance policy. USCCA or the U.S. Concealed Carry Association provides that type of coverage. USCCA provides training so that you can learn about self-defense. It has also training to teach you how to use a firearm in a self-defense situation. And of course, they'll be there for you if you unfortunately find yourself in a situation where you had to use a firearm to protect yourself. So it's a very affordable policy. It's a policy that I personally have myself, and they provide all the coverage that you need. So if you do find yourself in trouble, give the number on the card that they provide to you after you become a member a call, and their legal services will be provided to you. It's a risk-free type situation. If you want to check out their services, it has a 100% money-back guarantee. Check them out. Get online, check out what they offer in terms of training and education, and also see what they offer you in terms of coverage should you find yourself in legal trouble because you had to use a firearm for self-defense. More information can be found at the link down below in the video description. They do not provide insurance themselves. They have a policy through another insurance provider that covers the members of USCCA. It has terms and conditions that do apply. Again, all that information can be found below in the link in the video description. The pistol used by Han Solo in the movies is basically a C96 Mauser that's been modified to make it into a, sci-fi type blaster. So here I have an original C96 in its original holster. And this would be the pistol that they would have heavily modified into what you see here, although this is based on the AR-15 pistol. So it's a smaller gun, and they would put a magnified optic that was screwed to the side of the receiver and put a big muzzle device on it like you see here, very similar to this one, and modify it in such a way that it wasn't easily identifiable as a C96 to the average layperson, but to gun people around the world, we knew exactly what it was. Classic piece of history right there in that particular pistol. So as you can see, they got the overall look right. So we'll just kind of go over some of the features of the Battle Arms Solo Blaster here really quick. So here you'll see they've made an adapter that gives it a pistol grip very similar to what you'd find on the C96. Then the AR-15 pistol itself, it's a nice big handgun. It has a great presence to it. They've battle worn it, if you will. They've rubbed the finish off of it. This is on one of their standard AR-15 upper and lower kits. And then on the other side, you can see that we have a standard AR-15 type selector here. Uses a standard AR-15 trigger, has a .22 conversion kit in it, which we'll show you that here in a minute. You can see that there's no buffer tube on here because the .22 kit doesn't require it. They have their own barrel nut on here and this muzzle device. So you can clearly see the relation to the AR-15 pistol, but again, I think it does a really good job in copying the overall look of the original blaster. Now on top of it, I have a replica from an airsoft site that actually works. It does power up, so there is a dot in there that I can adjust, but it only cost me 60 bucks. And it's a replica of the early single point sights. Now this one has the cap on it, which would be correct because this actual replica would have been used on a Star Wars blaster, just not the Han Solo blaster. Again, the Han Solo blaster had basically a rifle scope on it, right? So I've also mounted it on the left side of the receiver with this offset mount, which cost me, I think, $12 on Amazon. The reason I have it hanging off the left side versus the right side like the original Star Wars blaster is because I'm right-handed, and it makes more sense for it to be hanging off the left-hand side. Han Solo was right-handed, but his sight was on the right-hand side of the pistol. But that's just personal preference. I could easily flip this around, make it a little bit more correct, but I also wanted to keep stuff away from the ejection port. It has a standard T-handle charging system on it. It does lock open on last shot fired using the magazine, and it uses standard Smith & Wesson M&P type AR-1522 magazines. So this is a 10-rounder. You can get, magazines obviously that hold more rounds, but I think the 10-rounder kind of makes the gun look correct. If it had a 30-round mag sticking out of it, it would look a little off, I think. So overall, I think I could have weathered this $60 optic if I wanted to make it match a little bit more. Maybe I will. I'm not very good at such things, but it still, I think, looks pretty darn cool. I showed this to the guys over at Battle Arms after I got it all set up, and they thought it was really cool. They asked me where I got the optic, and I sent them the link where I found it, and I think they're going to probably start playing with them themselves. So you can find those replicas out there. You'll notice over here on the right-hand side, there's this knob, which kind of looks like how they attached the original optic to the side of the receiver, but this is just a placeholder, and it's attached to the selector lever. And it's really kind of cosmetic, standard AR-15 magazine release right there. And of course your ejection port. So very, very cool gun. Let's do some more shooting with it and tear it down, show you what it looks like on the inside, because it's not just a standard like CMMG conversion kit that's in there. Thanks to my friend 22 Plinkster, I have a few of these Piney Mountain 22 long rifle tracers. These are red tracers. Should look a little bit like a blaster bolt. Now we do have to fire them into the berm over there because these can start a fire, and I don't want to set the field on fire again. So we're going to shoot, I guess it's a little over 50 yards, and hopefully you'll be able to see these things light up in daylight. They are visible in daylight. This is what they look like. You see the little red nose on them? So, all right, let's see if we can see these bad boys light up. I'm going to shoot into the grass because I could see it go into the grass. I was. Definitely saw those last two. Be a little bit more fun at night. I just don't want to burn everything down. Let's take this blaster apart and see what makes it tick on the inside. See if there's a kyber crystal or something in there. All right, so first we're gonna make the weapon safe. I'm gonna drop the magazine out. I'm gonna pull the charging handle to the rear, check that chamber, make sure that the weapon is empty. Now, just like a standard AR-15, have a push pin back here. I'm just gonna push that rear pin out, and it will hinge open just like a standard AR-15. Inside there, the lower is all standard AR-15 fare. Take the bolt carrier, I guess the bolt, out of the gun, and then here's the standard T-handle. So it has a dedicated 22 barrel on it, and you'll notice like the regular CMMG conversion kits that would be used for the 5.56 barrel, they would have a little device sticking out down here that looks, outwardly like the same shape as a 5.56 case that serves as a place for the round to be chambered, and it bridges the gap between the 22 cartridge and the lands and grooves of the rifling of the 5.56 barrel. This one doesn't have that. This has a dedicated 22 barrel that you can see right here protrudes back, and then the bolt carrier just rides over it. So that's your chamber area right there. Very simple design, but it looks like a signer kit or a CMMG back here, which is pretty normal. So pretty nice setup. It looks like it's maybe nickel boron treated or something. It feels very slick, like self-lubricating slick. So putting it back together, very simple to do, just like a standard AR-15. Put your T-handle in there, drop your bolt in there, push her closed, and pin it back in place. And she's back together. So really simple. Now, Jason noted, and I agree with him, that this gun feels very substantial. It doesn't seem cheap in any way, and that's a good thing because they're not inexpensive. If you want something like this, it's $1,900 and $19.95, I think the price is on it. So it's right at $2,000 for this piece of, you know, Star Wars history, if you will, that you can actually go out and shoot. So fortunately, aside from my really cheap optic on it, the gun itself, really nice quality, very well made, feels very substantial, and doesn't come off as being cheap in any way. So let's go ahead and load my blaster up. And yeah, these are not the droids you're looking for. See if I can bust that paint bottle. Pew! Oh, it didn't lock open. It's that Remington ammo. This stuff is garbage. I've had it for years. And we have tons of little light ones in there that don't quite cycle. So actually that was a dud. That one just didn't fire. Typical Remington garbage. But yeah, I need to go find some 22s from Federal, and this thing wouldn't have that problem with dud rounds. But yeah, that's pretty fun. I like it. It points pretty naturally. Now it's acting like an occluded gun sight because I can't see through the optic. I have to, you know, it's like the early red dot sights. I have to keep both eyes open because it's just a red dot on a black field, and it just kind of superimposes the target and the dot together. Your brain will merge them together. So you don't have to see through the red dot sight. Very, very cool. A lot of fun. I want to thank the guys over at Battle Arms for sending this handgun out for me to play with in today's video. I didn't have to buy it because $2,000 is a lot of money. But what do I have to say about the gun? It's a standard AR-15 22 type firearm, which means it's going to do standard 22 AR-15 type things. You got to be careful how you load the magazine. Don't want to get rim lock, which means you get one rib behind the other one below it. You want to be careful how you load the gun. You also don't want to use cheap 22 ammunition like the Remington stuff, which half the time doesn't even fire in my experience, depending on what lot you get. You'll be better off with good quality ammunition like the CCI mini mags. But overall, this thing is an outstanding Star Wars fans firearm that allow you to go out and actually do some shooting with it, but it'll look just as good sitting on your mantle in your office or living room next to your Star Wars collection. And I actually have one of those. But anyway, this will wind up next to my helmet collection in my office. So with that being said, it's a lot of fun. It was really neat seeing it at the NRA show. It's definitely a blast to be able to get out and shoot it and play with it and kind of, I don't know, live my childhood all over again vicariously through a replica Han Solo blaster. If you guys have any questions, you can ask those questions down below in the comments section. Also, if you'd like to support us here at the Military Arms channel so we can continue to bring you content like this, please consider becoming part of our Patreon family. There's a link in the video description below. Also, right here on YouTube, you got the little join button and the thanks button, and you can help support us right here on YouTube in the age of demonetization. Last but not least, check out Copper Custom. Thank you for 15 years of support. We'll talk to you guys soon.